So, what did we talk about yesterday? Small Favorite. And that was my new favorite Dresden book. I also ran through Turncoat in about a day and a half. And while not my favorite, also an excellent book. And honestly, all these books are going to be incredible at this point. I got changes on deck and then everything after that. So, Turncoat. Obviously, again, spoiler warning. This is book 11 of a series. If you haven't read this far, why are you here? I spoil all these books because there's a lot to talk about. So this is probably one of the quickest openings to a book, especially a Dresden book, where it opens up with Harry answering the door because somebody's banging on it. It's Morgan, he's covered in blood, and he's asking for Harry to protect him and hide him from the wardens. So immediately you're just like, what the fuck? Obviously, from the get-go, I kind of assumed that it wasn't Morgan behind all this, just because that seemed too obvious. I don't think Morgan is the kind of person that would have, turned on the council and killed, what's his name, Fortier. So immediately I was like, all right, somebody is obviously setting him up. Like, that's going to be the whole thing. Let's figure out who this is. So, of course, you have Harry trying to figure out what the hell happened with Fortier. He clearly thinks Morgan was set up. Morgan would certainly not go to Harry for this kind of problem unless he was somehow setting him up to get him killed. But secretly, Morgan's actually a pretty good guy. So what we get out of this book is actually a lot of character development from many of our side characters. You get a lot from Morgan because his interactions with Molly throughout are hilarious because Morgan is staying with Harry as that is the last place the council would think to look for him. And he's constantly going back and forth, bickering and fighting with Molly. He thinks Molly is just a useless warlock that can't be trusted and at times almost kills her. What's hilarious about this book, though, is the constant back and forth between Molly and Morgan at Harry's apartment while he's gone. Pretty much every time he comes back, it looks like this. Molly just can't help herself, man. And I have a bad feeling that she's going to keep trying to do good by using these powers that she has and keep getting shit for it and eventually just be like, whatever, I'm just gonna do my own thing and you can try to kill me if you want. So I definitely worry for Molly at this point in the story, which of course also leads to Mouse getting shot. Just lots of bad things happening around Molly. She's kind of causing a lot of issues at this time. We of course don't have Michael around for this book because he is in crippling condition. But we do get our Lycans back, and we have Billy, of course, being the main sort of sidekick throughout this book. And you get a lot of respect for him through this book because he's grown up a lot since Harry first met him back in Full Moon, I think it was, because that was the werewolf book. And he's kind of always shielded him and the other werewolves from being involved, but he always leans on them. But he doesn't really want to tell them a whole lot of information because he thinks he's sort of protecting them by not giving them the full story. Don't get them too involved. And Billy is finally just like, look, I'm done with that. You need to tell me everything. Like, I'm all in. I'm here to go to battle with you, but I need to know what the fuck is going on. Because early on in this book, we're introduced to the most overpowered thing on the planet, the Skinwalker, aka Shag Nasty, as Harry would like to refer to him as. This thing is overpowered as hell. Like, the devs were not playtesting this thing when they put it into the game. It is super broken. This thing is damn near invincible. It's huge, it's fast. It could take on the entire freaking Wraith household and just rip apart vampires left and right. Takes on Harry, takes on everybody. I mean, Jesus. Until the damn thing fights Listens to Wind at the end of the book and it turns straight Beast Wars when they're just shape-shifting and battling it out. This thing was just like, holy crap, it was overpowered. And it had taken Thomas hostage and was sort of bargaining with Harry to turn over Morgan, which is like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, why would the Skinwalker give a shit? So clearly somebody was behind sending it there. Skinwalker would just seem kind of broken. Like, Nicodemus is really powerful, but Harry at least fights Nicodemus. Like, the Skinwalker just kind of destroyed everybody, even through Harry's Hellfire and Soulfire. Like, this thing is just too goddamn strong. Craziest thing about this battle that happens after the Skinwalker and Listens to Wind fight, I think it was like right before that, the Skinwalker told Harry how it tormented Thomas and just, ripped away his humanity and just completely left him in this terrible state, and Harry was just like, oh my God, like what did he do? And you find out that like where Molly was with Thomas, she had to throw up her veil to sort of hide from him, because basically the Skinwalker turned Thomas into just like pure vampire. He was really hungry for Molly. He had a boner. He wanted to eat, man. He wanted to rip Molly apart and eat her. So, and obviously this is not good towards the end, because Thomas now is full on vampire. He has no humanity left in him. I don't know if that can be saved or not, but he like fully acknowledges at the end, like, this feels good. This is who I should be. I am a vampire. This is what I'm going to do. Which of course breaks Harry's heart, but also like he's part of the Wild Hunt still, because he still has that debt to them. And now he's probably going to turn into like a main antagonist, right? Like he's going to have to, because if he really gives into this vampirism and just doesn't care about being human at all anymore, or even Harry's brother, like shit's going to go down with them at some point. So then of course at the end with the trial, you see that Harry had actually gained evidence to prove for certain that Morgan was not who killed LaFortier. And even though Morgan turned himself in and they go through this trial, Harry, of course, reveals his evidence that it was Peabody this whole time, which I was kind of surprised at how obvious that was from the get-go, that Peabody was behind this, because it was like not thinly veiled at all that Peabody was going to be the bad guy of this book behind the scenes. It just, that seemed really obvious up front. But of course he is revealed during this trial, and the lights go out and he's using his magic, and a bunch of wardens are dying, and he escapes through the Never Never, and Harry chases him, and Peabody is actually about to kill Harry when Morgan saves him. So good guy Morgan turns it all around, isn't a piece of shit, and he dies, of course. So after hating him this entire series, Harry that is, he dies being a good guy. You learn that, of course, he, sort of fell on the sword for Lucio. He covered for her because he didn't want her to be unfairly killed because she was being controlled, and then dies saving Harry, who, he wanted to execute long ago and has sort of looked for a reason to throw him to the wolves. And he dies a good guy. So, I mean, it kind of sucks now that we don't get more of him. And then you have a good moment towards the end with Harry and Ebenezer talking about the Black Council, the White Council, how basically this was all just like a plan for the Black Council to put their own people in charge. So now who the hell do you trust? I mean, the council is infiltrated by terrible wizards that want to do bad things. I still think that Merlin is probably behind some of this. We'll see. But there's a lot of shit going on within the council. I have a feeling that Ebenezer will probably end up biting the dust. Many more people around Harry, because that damn death curse, die alone. He's going to lose a lot of friends and family by the end of this thing. And we'll see where the whole council stuff goes. And then, of course, this ends on such a lovely note of a cute little D&D game where Harry brings Butters into DM for them, which was just adorable. So of course now it is time for changes, and as I had mentioned before, everybody in Discord is trying to get me so badly to binge this series. This is the closest that I got to binging the series at all, which was 2 books in 3 days. And everybody was saying, oh, just read the first line and you'll go through the book. I was determined not to. After that first line though, it was tough, because what the fuck. But that's gonna do it for Turncoat, guys. It's time to read changes here in a couple of days. Very much looking forward to it, especially after starting it. And like and subscribe as always. Do hit up Patreon if you want to support the channel financially. And what I do here, that's always optional but always appreciated. Definitely jump in Discord though, or drop me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the series, on Turncoat especially. Just let me know. Let's just talk about some Dresden Files. It's great. I love it. And I'm looking forward to changes. So until next time, everybody. Peace.